Hi everyone, this is Norman Koshnik here for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koshnik. We're actually coming live after the Posters Day 4. That's 4. The first test between England and Pakistan. Obviously, Australia defeated West Indies today as well in a rather one-sided match, you could argue. But West Indies did fight hard with the likes of Braithwaite. He did particularly well. The team themselves were pretty disappointing. Australia had it easy. You would argue that some of their batsmen got double centuries, as in Smith and Labuschagne, with a century to Labuschagne in the second innings. Great performance. And good old Nathan Lyon took some 6 wickets, and he's gone past the likes of Ashwin at the moment. And it looks to me as if he'll put himself in 8th position for a while. So Chris Vernon, Brooke is the most talented, exciting batsman I've ever seen play for England since KP. That's very true. Chris Vernon should join us now if he wants to talk more about it. I'd love to hear him. So it is true. Brooks right up there. He scored magnificent century in the first innings, which was the third fastest, and was heading for the fastest in that last inning before we got out for 87. Fantastic performance by Brooke. And David Graham's been talking highly about him as well. So here says Bubba's wicket did give back England 50% of the chance to win. That's true. But Anton's still there. That's a big opportunity for them to come on. So I'm hoping that we're going to. So Chris Vernon's out, but he will be listening. He's just on my WhatsApp page. But yeah, look, this is a tremendous test match. I adore the way that both Brendan McCullum and obviously the likes of Ben Stokes have approached this, giving now an amazing chance to Pakistan to win this. Just watching some highlights from India versus New Zealand also taking place. There's another match there. Amit Mishra, thanks for coming. So yeah, look, I haven't been well, guys. In fact, Chris Vernon can't make it today, but he'll be trying to, and that'd be great. It all depends on Azhar Ali, of course, coming back from his finger injury. It's about tomorrow what approach Pakistan comes. I think they've got a great chance. Baseball versus Pakistan unpredictability with King Comments. Look, the reality is that Pakistan should win this now, quite frankly, if they don't lose wickets. But I love the attitude, the short deliveries early on. They got a couple of weeks out. They got Shafiq out, and indirectly Bubba and also Azhar Ali injured, so worked quite successfully. Will Jackson has impressed me with his these 6 wickets on his debut as well. I mean, Harry Brooks just caned them, getting 153 and then 87. Fantastic. Looks the goods. I think England have got some long-term great players there. Obviously, Livingston's there as well. Will Jackson can bat. He can hit the ball, and the England upper order. I mean, Ben Duckett seems to be a bit of a special, and Crawley's found his feet. Ollie Pope's really good at number 3. Joe Root, we know how good he is. Where am I? So I'm actually back in Sydney. I actually had food poisoning 2 days ago, so I've been off air for 2 days in a row. I had vomiting my guts out. I was down to bile. It was awful. So yeah, so I'm just waiting to see what David Graham's coming on. Chris Vernon can't come on. But good old Banstead boys also around, and Marcus Lyons and Munchie. They're all floating around. So let's just see if we can. I'll perhaps get an email to my friend David Graham. I'm not sure whether he's available. We'll wait and see. But it really is a pleasing sight to see England batting the way they are, playing the way they are too. Yeah, so my apologies to anyone who haven't been able. So England will whitewash Australia 5-0. The Ashes 23. Arith is best. I think you're not far from off the mark, actually. Chris Vernon said they've looked good, but it's way too flat a test wicket for a very poor test cricket wicket. Only reason the results possible because England scored 9 runs at 6.7 and over. That's true. Quite incredible when they think of the runs that they scored. Incredible stat there, Chris Vernon. England have scored 970 runs in this match at 6.7 and over. They're setting a new trend in Test cricket, which is great to see. Let's be honest. It's a fantastic sight to see such an incredible run rate. And it really makes them. But Pakistan are handling their own. They hit 3 centuries in their first innings with Imam al-Haq, obviously Shafiq, and as we know it, Babar Azam also got a century, but also quite a few contributions lower in the order from the Pakistanis as well. So Reg is joined.
Hi Norman, how are you?
Oh, I had some food poisoning. I was down to bile. It was terrible, but I'm okay.
I know. I was getting worried about you.
Well, it was quite severe. I've never been so violently vomiting. And anyway, it wasn't because I was getting disgusted about because of England's performance, of course. Not at all.
No, you were chickening out of coming on after England did that.
No
you were quaking in your boots, thinking of the Ashes here next summer. What's going to happen to your old bowling attack? Those old Mitchell Stark and Hazelwood creaking up to the wicket.
I'm actually particularly worried because Harry Brook, what an outstanding batsman he is. Seriously.
I'm not going to blow my own trumpet here, Norman, but I did say in the last time we met on this show that he was a bit of a talent, didn't I?
God.
They rate him really highly, Harry Brook.
But he's not. It's just I heard Kumar Sangakkara and Butcher talking about what he did when he went down the wicket and the way that he could hold his bat up high and completely change the direction of his shot. And they reckon it's unbelievable. Only the Petersons of the world or some rare batsmen are capable of it. In fact, Kumar Sangakkara himself said, I would have just tried to put my pad away to knock it away.
We've got a comment here, Norman, from Debasis Mohanty. Hello, Debasis. Yeah. I'm pleased that he's watching and welcome to the show. If England lose this match, Test match, England will face heavy criticisms from the English media, which is an interesting comment, Norman.
It is.
I think that they will receive massive plaudits from the world of cricket for the way they've gone about the whole Test match on what is basically the flattest pitch you'll ever see in your life. And they're trying to win the game. They're absolutely done. Everything they've done is to try and win. That declaration was extremely competitive, Norman.
It is wonderful.
How many captains in world cricket would have declared then set the opposition 340 in, 100 and something overs on a wicket that flat?
No Australian captain would do that, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think any English captain in the past would have done that either. They would have all gone on for 420 lead or something like that and maybe tried to have 5 or 6 overs at this evening or basically killed out the win. But you just got to admire the McCullum-Stokes view. If they lose, they lose. That'll be the thing, Norman. If they lose, they will come out and say, but we tried to win.
Absolutely. There's no fear that this is the future of Test cricket. And it's a revelation.
Yeah.
Every team will. It's a bit like electric vehicles in the world now. Everybody wants electric vehicles. Everybody's going to bat like this for Test cricket. And it's not impossible to do. We're seeing evidence that it's not impossible to do. When you have people like, look at the way that Crawley and Ben Duckett opened the batting. Fabulous.
It was a world record, I think, fastest pre-lunch session in Test cricket history. I think they missed out by 5 runs on officially the fastest, but that was back in the official world record pre-lunch is 179 and they got 173. However, 42 overs were bowled in that game before lunch, I think. Whereas I think the England openers had something like 24 overs. It was something.
But now Ben Duckett's opening the batting with Crawley. Who was the previous batter that was with him just recently?
Alex Lees.
What happened to Alex Lees?
Well, they dropped him. They gave him a good go. He batted pretty well at times, but never could get past the sort of 40, 50 run mark. Now, a lot of the comments on here the other day were saying, how does Crawley get in the side? Well, they rate him. They just rate him, Norman. he's going
Crawley
to get.
is a sensation. I'm sorry. I know he particularly bats well against Pakistan. That's well evident. But his talent, he should bat well in Australia, and he should bat well against Australia. He's got the right technique to play Australia. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think that they're accepting what McCullum came out and said last summer about Crawley is we accept that he's going to get some low scores, but we think that he will get scores, and when he does, he's going to put us in such a position by the way he bats that he'll set the game up for us. That's what he basically said.
I've got no doubt. Okay, Ollie Pope is definitely number 3 now. Definitely,
He could play on it,
but he can't. He shouldn't be keeping though. There's a mistake there.
Well, that's only because Ben Folkes was sick on the morning of the game.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Will Jack was told he was going to receive his cap and play in the game 10 minutes before the start of the game, Norman.
Right.
So that's how close it was. So the Pope wouldn't have known. Folkes was going to play, but obviously he was ill. And so.
And of course, Bairstow's not there as well. So that's
England have got a bit of a problem, haven't they, when Bairstow gets fit again next summer? He's going to be fit for the spring. Because where do you fit Brook and Bairstow in? It's a bit of a tight one, that, because the top 4 are picking themselves at the moment. And therefore you've got Stokes, let's say Stokes at 5. Then you've got Brook and Bairstow.
Bairstow may become the keeper then.
That might be the only way they can get them both in, Norman. I don't think they'd like doing that, but they might do.
Well,
they might do.
Ben Stokes, sorry, what's his name again? I've just forgotten. I've had a mental blank. Bairstow's a better batter than Ben Folkes. Okay.
Yeah.
So on that basis,
but he's not a better keeper, Norman.
No, I'm not. By no means saying that, but he's a justifiable keeper to be able to be put in there if you had to do that. Especially with Ollie Pope on the side as well, you've got a backup. So I don't think that's necessarily going to... Anyway, so that's true. And Liam Livingston as well, despite his injury, is also in there. Oh, my... And Will Jacks has also shown incredible talent this match, getting 6 wickets.
He was a good player as well. He's a bright prospect, Will Jacks. I mean, he's in his debut test and he just gave it away today. It's hard to do that, Norman, to come in on your debut or when you're not safe in the team and just have a dart at it to try and score some quick runs and get out doing so.
Is he a batting all-rounder or a bowling all-rounder?
No, he's a batting all-rounder.
Well, Surrey worth his weight in gold.
Surrey have been developing his spin a lot. He bowled a lot of overs last summer for Surrey. But he's in 2020 cricket, Norman, he opens the batting and smashes it all over the place.
My God.
Has he not been in the Big Bash doing that? He's certainly been in a couple of the leagues around the world.
I can't remember I don't think he's been in the Big Bash, but I'll be really honest with you, Reg. I don't follow the Big Bash.
Oh, okay.
I've had a gutful of it. Something's really depressing me at the Big Bash. It's lost its flavour. They've got no continuity in teams. They're desperate for players. None of the Australian players are really there. Only a handful are there. There's no money backing the BBL. It's in dire straits. I'm telling you right now.
They need to franchise it to the IPL, don't they? And
I think they'll do it quickly. If they weren't so arrogant about it, they would have done it a long time ago. Because honestly, we're not winning. If we're losing money, we're kidding ourselves to keep trying to say it's something and be proud of it. I'm not proud of it because it doesn't mean anything to me. We don't get the players we need. We haven't got the money behind it. I mean, one IPL team, $90 million, almost equals the whole comp. Really, it's just not on.
Yeah. Did you read the story, Norman, this week that the 100 has been offered a £400 million equity buyout?
I heard that.
Like 80% of the competition.
Wow.
Which the ECB are probably going to turn down. But that's how a competition that was maligned and poo-pooed before it started has certainly got some traction to it over in this country.
It has, but that private equity would probably, I'm afraid, come from India.
Yeah. Very, very possibly. Very possibly.
We've got to. I don't honestly, Reg. I don't care less if India owns the English leagues and the Australian leagues. As long as they're good leagues, Who
Yeah.
cares?
Well, we want to watch cricket, don't we? At the end of the day, we want to see
players,
want
the
to see
best
cricket.
players.
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of seeing just domestic players in
Mm.
Australia and the occasional, English player here or there, but we're not getting anyone else. We're getting, we're getting other players. We're not getting any Indian players. We're not getting, we're getting some rare Pakistani players only when they happen to be here. So what's that tell you about Australia? It's losing its gloss for men's cricket, not women's cricket. Women's cricket is a different story, but men's cricket is a shock. Okay, Chris is talking madly, your son. Quickest 200 run opening partnership too, it certainly was. Corley will always bat well in subcontinent Australia, but because they bowl straight or shorter. Well,
the only reason normally he won't come on today, I think, is because he's a bit henpecked at the moment. His girlfriend's a bit in charge of that relationship, so he's a bit scared. So he's allowed to watch, I think, and comment and pretend he's doing something else. She won't let him come on. Sorry about that. It's just one of those things.
No worries. Chris says they will struggle in England as they bowl fourth stump and he'll nick it off. Well, I don't think Crawley's that bad. I think he's excellent. I love the way he plays.
At
Oh
least
my God. He drives the ball magnificently. He's a fantastic driver of the ball.
I just want to go back before the messages go, because DeBar's just came back to me after what I said earlier. I think media will criticise England if they lose, but I think they'll get a lot of support in the game. And then he said, Bazball will not work in spin-friendly or seam-friendly pitches. Wrong. We did it all last summer in England, and you can't get more seamer-friendly pitches than English pitches. And then he said something else about it won't work against top-quality teams. Well, it worked against India last year. We beat them here. We stuffed New Zealand here, and we stuffed South Africa here. I mean,
Australia's in deep trouble. Unless Australia adopts the same process, they're in deep trouble.
Bazball will work against top quality teams because no bowling attack, and I think Chris said it here, or the wonderful cricketer said it here. Yeah. When you get after an attack, no matter who they are, even you can get after Anderson and Broad as well. No bowler likes it. Then they try and adjust their lengths or adjust their lines, and that plays into it. No side likes being attacked. I have a stat for you, Norman. England's combined runs in this test in both completed innings were scored at 6.7 runs per over, and that's the world record fastest by miles over 2 completed innings in a test match.
That's
never been seen or done before.
That's scary. That is literally scary.
If the umpires hadn't taken them off in the first day, they were 6 runs short of the highest ever number of runs scored in a day's cricket. They'd already miles broken day one of a test match, but they were 6 runs short, but they were 15 overs quicker to getting there. So they'd only faced 75 overs instead of 90.
I'm going to be interested to see what a lot of the other countries are going to do. I've just noticed there's also got the match, of course, between India and Bangladesh going on. India are all out for 184, and Bangladesh off 121 with a hell of a lot of overs left. They've got 66 off 17 overs. And Bangladesh seem to always play well at home. I don't know what it is. Anyway,
it's a difficult place to play, isn't it? I mean, the beauty of cricket, Norman, is you can play football all around the world, and it's basically football, isn't it? The pitches have a different size sometimes, but most sports, it's generally the same game. Cricket is not the same game. It's a unique sport in a way. Cricket in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh is completely different playing in Australia. It's just different game. Different skill sets.
Even down to the look and smell and the feel, the food, the water, everything. I mean, there are so many ways that a game can be changed. Let's just digress from it into soccer for a minute, as you would call football. Australia did pretty well, didn't they? They almost beat Afghanistan. Well, not Afghanistan. Beat Argentina.
Yeah, it was a good game, wasn't it? I didn't see it. I was out last night.
2-1. I mean, that's. Yeah. I mean, admittedly, Messi scored the first goal, and then our goalkeeper stuffed up, and we came back. And look, I'm pretty impressed with a team that's not known for its soccer. It
cost me money there. I was really disappointed when I got back. I hadn't checked my phone. I had Argentina to win by a small amount, and I had them to Australia not to score. So I had a 5 bet on as an accumulator, and the only bet that failed was Australia scoring. Otherwise, I would have had a nice little win. But there we go.
You thought Australia wouldn't score?
If it remained 2-0 as it was, I would have had about a 4-1 bet coming in for only a tenner, Norman. I don't bet big, I only bet little amounts.
The irony was, I would have told you differently because Australia scored a goal in every single game. So there's every chance they would score. All right, let's digress.
Hold on, Norman. Debassis says, sorry, the England pitches last summer were flat, and that's why they chased 300 runs, knowing that the current lineup can't play swing or seam. My God, Debassis, you didn't watch much of the cricket over here last summer, did you? We had a dry summer. The pitches were good, but if they were that flat, England wouldn't have been chasing those sorts of scores. There would have been bigger scores made, wouldn't they? I mean, there always moves around in England. It's always useful for the seamers. The new ball is massively can seam and swing around. They weren't that flat. Johnny Best, though, just had a summer of all summers. And all pitch. I'll tell you what, Debassis, all pitches look flat when you're stuffing it at 10 and 12 and over. No, it always looks flat, you know.
And look, we've got to remember that New Zealand didn't play badly either. They got some good scores with Nichols batting well on a number of occasions, so it wasn't one-sided. It wasn't necessarily at all.
Oh, and India aren't a bad side. They came back for it was one test. It was a bit of a farce, really. I wasn't happy with what happened with that at all. But they came back and they played, and we won that. And then we lost the first test to South Africa, I think, and then absolutely crushed it. I mean, and they got a great bowling attack for test match conditions, South Africa.
Yeah, but they can't bloody play anything involving the words WC in the name. World Cups, they fall apart.
No,
it's laughable, but it's disgusting actually how badly they played. Really, they should have won their group, but they didn't even make it.
No, I absolutely agree. You're right. There's a mental block a little bit, isn't it?
They knocked off India with great ease when they played them in Perth. I was there, and on that day you could see that they were clearly a better side. Yet in the end, they couldn't even make the last four. How could that be possible? Getting beat by the Netherlands? I mean, what the hell? What the hell's going on there? That's just mind-blowingly bad.
Cricket, though, Norman, isn't it?
Oh no, it's South Africa. It's South Africa. I'm sorry, they've been chokers for bloody how many decades now? Someone needs to go there and get rid of Paddy Upton. He's not going to do them any good. They need someone else in there to go and have a good chat to them because it's not working. Whatever they've been told, it's not working. It's the most pig-headed. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's embarrassing because they had the
last comment, Norman, Omar Buba. I'm sorry, I couldn't say. I've got my glasses on. I'm still struggling. He said, "I'm sorry to say, but New Zealand did not deserve to be called the champs." Is the comment there? Well, I'm really sorry. They do deserve to be called the champs. They are currently the World Test champions. They qualified for that final, and they beat India in the final because India picked the wrong side and played the wrong game in the conditions, and New Zealand played the best cricket and won. How can someone say that you can't be called the champs after you've played, what was it, 8 or 9 qualifying matches of Test cricket? I forget how many it was, Norman, but it was enough. Yeah. New Zealand had a bit of luck. They play at home. They play well at home. But then they came to England and they won it. I mean, it's like saying that Australia didn't deserve to win the T20 World Cup last year. Well, I'm afraid they did. But they won it. You can't. The fact that a few things go your way and the opposition might not play so well doesn't take away that you've won it. I'm really sorry. New Zealand are a crackingly good cricket outfit. We love them coming to England. The test matches are always good when England played New Zealand. Always. Cracking good games, you know?
Yeah, it's intriguing, though, with the World Test Championship coming on next year. And at this particular point in time, the leading teams are, I think, Australia, India, Pakistan, and even South Africa. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, England can't qualify. I don't think New Zealand can qualify. I'm not sure, Norman.
No, New Zealand are down at the moment. It'll be Australia versus India, Pakistan, or South Africa. And if Pakistan beat you guys in Pakistan, it'll help them a long way to getting into that World Test Championship, to be honest with you. For guys like South Africa, I can't comprehend why they're there, considering everything. But
they've done all right at home, haven't they? They've coming back because their bowling attack is potent, Norman. They've got a serious bowling attack, haven't they?
Batting lineup, I don't rate.
No, they've got a few. Well, Elgar, I like Elgar because he's absolutely 100%, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's a true gutsy, traditional left-hand opening bat.
Yeah.
Okay, now go back to now Australia just have beaten West Indies at home.
Yeah.
Labuschagne's got a double century, so does Steve Smith, 100. Looks like they are superlative. There's a superlative after their name. Lyon got 6 weeks. But you know what? I mean, okay. Even though Braithwaite, is it Braithwaite? What's
Brathwaite. I think they call him Brathwaite in West Indies. We would say Braithwaite in our country, but I think it's Brathwaite.
Okay. He scored 5,000 test runs. We've got to give him credit. He's got no dummy. But I mean, and I love the way that the son of Chandabal came on and scored a 50 and a 40. He looked great too. But they really were disappointing, super disappointing. But I'll give them some credit. They did fight back, and they made it 5 days of Test cricket. Only won the last session or so. You know, Australia, even though they've won quite convincingly, we're getting carried away about how well they've played. We couldn't play a sausage in a World Cup a week earlier. We beat England at home 3 days after the World Cup, which means nothing. Okay, we've just beat the West Indies at home. I don't take this form seriously. I don't at all. And it's worrying for me because even people are saying about Jai Richardson, realistically, there's something very dangerous going. If you look at the way that Pakistan have picked players in their team, the way England have picked players, England have picked like Will Jack's coming in now. They've got, they're giving Harry Brook a go, young player. Australia's not doing that.
Have you seen the squad that England have picked, though, out there, Norman? Have you seen one of the players who isn't playing in this test?
Yes.
The young lady, Riaz Ahmed, is 17 or 18. He's only played 3 first-class games. In that one of those, he scored 100 for Leicestershire. They reckon he's going to be the real deal, and they've taken him on the tour to basically give him some experience. I don't think he'll play. He might do, but I don't think.
Mark Butcher reckons he will play a match.
Yeah, well, that'd be great if look. I can't believe the other next 2 pitches are going to be as flat as this one. They might be, but they might have a little bit more spin, and we might want to pick a spinner, mightn't we? Pick a better spinner. But he's young, he's raw, Norman. But they think so. What they've done is, and the Aussies aren't so good at doing this, are they?
Australia's not doing it at all,
and they need to.
We've got 3 or 4 players that I can mention that are sitting in the background at the moment that should have been given. Like I always talk about Jason Sanger, right?
Yeah.
If you let him play at the highest level, he will score runs at the highest level. As simple as that. And we're effing him around at the moment, and I'm really annoyed because we're holding on to the Warners and Smiths. I know they're good players. I get that. But we're not doing anything out of the ordinary. The bowling attack is always Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark with Lyon. Always. Now, okay, if you've got a bowling attack that's a gun attack and they do great, I do get that. When we had Lily Thompson, Max Walker, and we didn't change our bowling attack either. But I don't think we've been very clever about it because all the next level players are just not coming through. We're going to have a huge hole very quickly. And even though we're so-called a World Test Championship certainty this time round, we're not letting any of our players come through, and it's very disappointing. It's a real concern.
So Norman has said, let Riyad Ahmed play some domestic matches. Well, the interesting point here is we haven't got any domestic matches at the moment. He played 3 for Leicestershire. But I think the problem we have in cricket now is that he's going to be seen as a potential player for the T20 leagues around the world. Okay, he's a leg spinner who can bat. That's gold dust in these T20 franchises. And I think what England are doing is saying to the lad, come and have a look at what Test match cricket might be like. Come into the dressing room, come and join the guys. And because I don't think they want to lose him. to just T20 franchises around the world. We've already had a guy this week in the last 2 weeks who's basically said he's not going to play any red ball cricket. He's just going to go and play white ball cricket.
Who's that?
Oh God, Chris will know if Chris is still watching. It's the opening bat at Sussex, I think. Is it? Young guy, whacks it everywhere. Can't get a run in red ball cricket. Can't even get into the second 11 at these counties in red ball cricket. He scored a heap of runs in white ball cricket. And what he's done is he said, I'm not going to sign a red ball contract. I'm just going to play white ball 2020 and go around the world and do that. Now, you can't afford that. So I think they've looked at this young leggy and said, come on tour, come in the dressing room, meet the guys, see if this is what you want. Is this what you want to do? Is this Test match cricket? Let's face it, Norman, Test match cricket is what it's all about, isn't it? For anyone who plays cricket, I was never good enough, Norman. Me and you, never good enough to play at that level. But wouldn't it have been fantastic? Wouldn't we have loved to? Whereas T20, that for me, I watch it, but I don't love it. I really don't. I want to watch Test match cricket.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been around for the whole World Cup here in Australia, and watching India play Pakistan was a spectacle. Yeah. Watching India play full stop because of the crowd involvement was great. But watching Australia play, watching South Africa play, even New Zealand, was just boring as hell. There were no crowds. There was no interest. My God, the Test cricket at Optus Stadium there in West Australia, we had about 8,000 people watching a Test match. I know it's Australia versus the West Indies. That is disgraceful. And they're going to play. I'm meant to be going to Adelaide Oval this week. I'm now balking about whether I really want to go because I'm not going to an empty ground. I don't find that exciting. I mean, the SCG, MCG generally holds pretty good crowds because of the grounds. But for Adelaide Oval to have, or more so Perth, to have 8,000 in a stadium with 60-odd thousand capacity is embarrassing. I don't care what day of the week it is. It's Australia playing Test cricket. I'm really worried, actually. Even with the World Cup, we had no one turning up. And again, Australia versus, I think we were playing modern Afghanistan at Level. There was no one there. Isn't that a bad sign?
Get a spare seat this summer for the Ashes, Norman. Not the way England are playing, and not when it's Australia. I know there's much smaller grounds, of course, but it's going to be
That's England. That's England. That's where they are very much sport goers, and we normally are, especially for cricket. But I tell you what, I'm now worried whether the SCG will be full. It might be full of day one, which is kind of a tradition to go. But I'm telling you what, we're going to suffer. I mean, we got a test come out in Brisbane for South Africa. I don't think anyone's even talking about it. I guess I said Perth had 8,000 people, and today was the fifth day. There was no one there, but it was a full day's cricket. Full day's cricket.
I don't reverse it, Norman. I mean, I think the way England are playing at the moment will help because people will want to come and watch cricket played that way, won't they?
No
that's
doubt.
going to get some people in, hopefully.
Are you talking about when England travel here next? Because that's going to be a couple of years off now. They're not coming here for a couple of years. We're yet to go to you, which is next year, of course. And my tour dates have been settled as well. I've got my games against the MCC. I sent you did I not send you the itinerary? I've got an itinerary.
No. I mean, I'm surprised it hasn't been advertised because the tickets will be sold out, won't they? Coming and watching you play.
That'll be just my own personal fan club have bought out.
If the roller breaks down, they won't need to go and get a new one. No, they just use you, can't they? Quickly roll out this track, make it nice and flat, wouldn't it?
Exactly. David Graveney's in Abu Dhabi.
Has he? He's gone out with England under 19s, hasn't he?
He must be there. He's having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So
one thing on the World Test Championship, Norman, England have to play Australia as part of that, and that's always a tough series. No matter how good or bad that we are at the time, it's a tough series for both sides, isn't it? But India don't have to play Pakistan in the World Test Championship for political reasons.
Oh, I think that's disgusting.
And
We're
so
going to stop that. We're going to stop that.
It fudges the league table to a certain extent, doesn't it? You know,
It does.
And I understand why, but isn't it a shame they can't play against each other? What a series!
How can they play in the ICC World Cup? I don't get it. If they're not playing each other in other normal Test cricket formats, why are they playing in the ICC then?
They make it happen, don't they? They say it has to happen in a world's tournament, but
then there's no reason why it can't happen normally. Okay, play in neutral venues. I don't care, but play the damn team. It's very unfair because I'm sure every single Indian Pakistan player would dearly love to play each other.
I'll tell you what, India-Pakistan Test match over here would be brilliant, wouldn't it? With the wickets that you get in the UK. I mean, they are proper. I'm biased. They are proper cricket wickets. There's a bit for the bowlers. There's a bit for the batsmen. There's usually results. It's not always draws. It's brilliant, isn't it? The cricket you can get over here.
It doesn't matter whether it's England or Australia or UAE, but play the damn games. Seriously, and look now, we've both Australia and England have both toured Pakistan. Everyone that's gone there has said nothing but superlatives about the way they were treated. It's safe. It's pleasant. I'm really frustrated I haven't been there yet, and I'm really wanting to go. I'm definitely going to make a beeline for the Dharamshala Test between Australia and India early next year. Now that my mother's situation is sorted, but I mean, to me, it's how can India not play Pakistan Test cricket? It has to be lauded over. It is as important as Australia versus India, or England versus India, or Australia versus England in the Ashes. I mean, it has to be played.
Yeah, it's one of the great contests in sport, and it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame. That's all.
Well, I think that's all. There's been enough water under the bridge now. They should be able to bring it back. Who is stopping it? Is it the BCCR? Is it the PCB? Who's actually stopping it? Is my question.
I guess it's political, isn't it, Norman? Rather than sporting, it's a political thing. Safety, and I don't know. Surely the spectators want to watch it, don't they? I mean, look. I don't get it. I don't get animosity and violence and hatred in. I went to a Test match at Lord's, no, at the Oval. Sorry, a few years ago, Ashes Test match, and I sat with a load of Aussies because why wouldn't I? And we had great fun all day, and there was never any chance of anything. You don't get any violence at any England cricket grounds, no matter who's playing at any time, and there's no segregation of crowds at all. You just mix and. Because that's the way it is in cricket, especially in England. I think it's been the same in Australia, wouldn't it? I could go and sit anywhere around.
Of course you
could. Know, because and so I've never understood it. I've never understood it.
Although a rugby league match between South Sydney and the Roosters, who are next door to each other, you can't do that. That's when we get a bit antsy.
It's stupid, though. No, it's stupid. It's a sport game. If you beat us this time, I'll come and try and beat you next time. But I'll shake your hand. I'll shake your hand if you win and say, well played.
Well, I mean, I don't know who instigates this, but somebody has to pull their head in and say, right, line in the sand, India plays Pakistan 2024, that's it.
Someone have to grow up, Norman. That's what they have to do.
I just said to you, if they're playing it in the ICC, all the political garbage is being put to one side. Well, that should be applicable to all the times they play. I don't get it. It does. I mean, I've been lucky enough in 2008 to be in Chinnaswamy Stadium there in Bangalore, and I watched India versus Pakistan. We were caged in. It was that big a crowd, and watching Shoaib Akhtar stirring the crowd on, bowling to Ganguly was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It was the best spectacle. It was a great spectacle.
Can you think of anything you'd rather watch than Shaheen Shah Afridi bowling at Virat Kohli?
No.
I mean, I would be turning my television on to watch it. Wouldn't any cricket lover? Because I think he's a brilliant bowler, Shaheen. I'm pleased he's not playing this series from English point of view, but he's a brilliant bowler. Yes. And he's mean and nasty, and that's what you want. And Kohli would be right in his face, wouldn't he? Because that's the only way Kohli can play his cricket. He's right in it. And it would be
like Harris Ralph has debuted in this Test match.
Yeah,
I thought he's got a quad injury or something, but he no, when Kohli hit him back over his head for 6 was the most amazing shot you've ever seen in the match, and I was there for that. That crowd was absolutely electric. 90,000 people at the MCG. India beating Pakistan was phenomenal. Awesome. I was so. Buri Majunda, my God, he gave me the best treatment. I was sitting in, we were in rarefied territory. We just had everything go so well. It was such a magnificent performance. Even India versus Zimbabwe was 80,000.
Yeah. But we need it in world cricket. We need India playing Pakistan in world cricket. It's important. Imagine if England didn't play Australia. I just can't comprehend.
Crazy.
I don't care if it's World Test Championship. It doesn't need to be anything on it for me. For England playing Australia, that's what I want to see. I couldn't care less about the World Test Championship. If that means we play Australia less, I would hate that. We need to see that series from me because I'm an Englishman. I want to see us play Australia. I want to see us beat Australia.
Exactly. The reality is I have no issues when it comes to Test cricket. Should be rarefied and be fair. There was a comment today. Bloody Ian Chappell. I'm normally in favour of Ian Chappell. He reckons Test cricket should only be 5 countries. The rest shouldn't be playing. I don't know where he got that from. That's bizarre.
And I assume he's including Australia in one of the 5 countries normally.
Of course.
In cheek. But what nonsense. So who would you take out? So you're saying it's England, Australia, Pakistan, India, and who? South Africa?
Well,
Windies out?
I'm just going to check who he included because he has definitely said. Let me have a look here. Where is he? He's made the comment here.
It's nonsense. How could you have Test cricket without the West Indies? I know they're in the doldrums at the moment, but maybe I'm just of the age, Norman.
It's asinine. It obviously refers to Australia, England, India.
Yeah.
Pakistan and
South Africa. And no, New Zealand. New Zealand's a fantastic Test team. They're fantastic. They're fantastic at all formats.
I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. I think he's being sensationalizing. I'm not sure because it's blowing me away because he's normally quite an astute character. I also noticed that Ravindra Jadeja's back from India. That's a huge plus for them. He's an incredible field. Deserves to be in the side. All right, now Harris Ralph. I know he's only played 1 Test match, but and I didn't realise he was 29. I thought he was younger than that. He's been around a little while now, but more in the short format. But yeah.
Did you know in this Test, Norman, that Pakistan gave their debuts to 4 players, and that's the first time they've done that since 1962 that 4 debutants have made a first appearance. Well, it would be if it's debut, but I think you saw a little bit of the problems of having 3 debuts bowlers, didn't you? The young spinner. I think Chris told me this morning it was the worst figures by a bowler on debut. They're
up against it. They're bowling on their own ground. They've got a gun England side batting against, haven't they? Really, and Shane DeFree's on fair, and they're a bit low on numbers at the moment. They probably. Well, no, I'm not concerned because they've got plenty of players in their overall squad. Just a quick question. Nabasha Mahdi said that Ian Chappell said don't give Test days to Ireland and Afghanistan. They're not ready for Test cricket. How do
they get ready for Test cricket if they're not playing it? Ireland have missed out on a golden generation of their cricketers in a way by not getting Test cricket. A few of their better players have got too old now, and they're retiring, and they can't bring the youngsters through as well because they're not playing. They've got to play.
And Afghanistan, they are the future. They are going to be gun players. There's no doubt. They've got most of them are in the same realm as where Pakistan is. They've got millions of people there that all love cricket.
But Norman, what they're going to be is they're going to be gun players at 20 over cricket. Because if they're not playing Tests, they're going to go and just join the franchises around the world because they need the money. Of course, they do. Who doesn't? But I imagine they need it a bit more in Afghanistan. And they're going to be lost to Test cricket. Test cricket's a skill. You can't just play 2020 cricket, then rock up and play a Test match. It doesn't work like that.
Look what we've just watched, this Test match. Even though it's a road, it still takes a great deal of skill to take wickets the way the English have played with a short ball, and they even Will Jacks bowl outside off stump. There's a lot of Will Jacks really shocked me. First match, he got 6 wickets on a road.
Yeah, he bought them to a certain extent, didn't he?
It doesn't matter. He knew how to get them though.
Bowled to a plan. Did you see the stat on the Pakistan's second innings that England bowled the shortest they've ever bowled in a Test innings? The first 10 overs was 5 meters short of their average length in the first 10 overs of a Test innings. James Anderson, his 2 overs, he bowled 2 overs of bouncers, and that's the shortest by a distance that he's ever bowled 2 overs of bowling in Test cricket.
After 175 Test matches.
Yeah, obviously bowling 2 orders, and they all.
Good.
I mean,
That's
they.
good. I like to hear that. That's great.
That's why I assume Stokes took the new ball to just come and pummel it in a bit and see what they could get out of it. You've got to, at least they're trying. It's a dead wicket, but it's going to be a result tomorrow, Norman. There's going to be a result in this test.
Absolutely. But you know what? You've got to give it to the way that England have allowed the coaching of Brendan McCullum to occur with Ben Stokes. It's been excellent. Rob Key, take your hat off to him. Even Trescothick's role in all of this. And now this new chairman, what's his name?
Key. Rob Key.
No, he's the CEO. There's a new chairman.
The Surrey guy. The guy came from Surrey. Is it Watkins?
He was on today. I was very impressed with the way he was talking. Actually.
Talks a lot of common sense. The bottom line, Norman, is if England lose this Test match, I don't care. I do, but
you do care, but
I want us to win it.
But proud of the way they do it.
What could have been a boring Test match at the end of first day, England could have been 302 for 2. End of the second day, 600 and something, and Pakistan 100 for 0. Do you understand? It could have been 600 versus 600.
Oh, gotcha.
But what's happening is that it's going to be a result on a really flat pitch, and it's going to be a result. And it has to be good. It has to be good. You want to watch it, don't you?
I'm watching every minute of it. I'm absolutely adoring.
It's going to be good tomorrow because England are going to come out and have to try. There's a difference. Have to try and win it. They have to try and take it because they can't. It's not going to be a draw. So they have to try and take 8 wickets. It's perfect. It's a perfect setup. Hats off to Ben Stokes for doing that.
I think it's the most enjoyable Test cricket I've seen in a long, long time. I really am impressed. And look, I also like Pakistan, even if Pakistan, I love the way Pakistan play Test cricket. Don't you? Pakistan are amazingly interesting. Absolutely. I would argue behind. I mean, England, Australia, and India and Pakistan, they're my 4 favourite Test sides to watch. And New Zealand probably is my 5th. But the rest, I'm not impressed with. South African bowling, okay. But I just love the brand of cricket we're seeing. It's just phenomenal. It really is. Sri Lanka, I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm still a bit confused with their team selections.
Yeah. But transition and politics, unfortunately, isn't it? It's transition and politics.
Well, but the way that Afghanistan are playing Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka is extremely impressive. Good old Moses Sheikh, our friend, is there with them right now. He's meeting up with Shripali. I think over the next few days they're going to go to her gym. And it's very impressive the way that's happening. Good old Aparna's now taking on a role. She's going to be interviewing all the women's cricketers for the next World Cup with Boreas Rev Sports. And she's also going to be covering tennis, which I'm very happy for her.
Yeah, absolutely. The boss says to me that if England keep losing match after match, the ECB will sack Brendan McCullum. It's simple. No one remembers the losers. Well, he started off with 6 wins out of 7 last summer.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
He's not going. He's not going anywhere. If we lose the Ashes next summer, then he'll be under pressure. Of course he will, because it's the Ashes. And any coach and captain who lose an Ashes series, whether at home or away, are always under pressure. But
there's no hope in hell that you're going to lose the Ashes at home.
Well, we might do, because Australia are always good and they always play well over here. Well,
yeah, but you're going to have probably. I mean, Butler's still floating around, but you're also going to have Archer back.
Archer could be back, and Mark Wood could. Mark Good, they think, might be fit for the second Test in Pakistan.
You know what? this might sound funny, but I would not have Mark Wood play in Pakistan. Why? Because I just don't think he'll bowl well, but I just don't think it's a lot of fast bowlers are really ruining themselves there. I don't know. I don't know whether it's as much of a. I prefer him not to play there, to be honest.
There was a stat that I saw, Norman, a couple of days ago. Since he made his debut, Mark Wood, there have been 100 Test matches available for him to play in, and he's only played in 20-something. It's really. I mean, he's got. It's the way he bowls. He's got injury problems, but I mean, he's such a good guy. Have you ever heard him interviewed? He is a funny bloke. He likes to change. Apparently, he's the life and soul of the changing rooms. Everyone loves him. And when he runs into bowl, it's lovely. It's great to watch him. He tries his heart out, doesn't he? Absolutely brilliant.
And such a small built man in a way. Quite incredible.
He's lively. He gets it up to 93, 94. I think that's the fastest in the world at the moment, isn't it? I don't think there's many bowlers bowling up at 94 miles an hour.
No, there are not. Harris Ralph's up there.
So I'm going to disagree with what DeBus has said. I think McCullum. I think that Rob Key's in charge, as we just said, of the ECB at the moment, and is the head honcho there. With the new chair, is the chairman or whatever. And I think he's buying into this brand of cricket massively, and I think he's supportive of it.
Didn't he get Brendan McCullum in? Wasn't his doing it?
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah, I think he did, and and I think that they're buying into. To doing this style and the way to go. DeBus is, what do I think of Pakistan's defensive brand of cricket? Well, they haven't been defensive in this test, have they? They got absolutely whacked around the park. That's not their fault. It was this way, and they weren't defensive in their batting particularly, were they?
No,
they didn't bat that slowly. Their run rate was 3.5 at least and over, wasn't it?
It was pretty commendable. I mean, 3 of their players got centuries, and one of them got a 50 on. They didn't do badly. They were only 70 or 80 runs behind in the end, and that was pretty amazing, actually, when we think about it. We've got to put that in perspective. It wasn't just England batting well, also Pakistan batted very well too.
They've got every chance of winning this test, the Basis. They've got every chance of winning it. If they do, hats off to them. But I'll tell you why I don't think they will. There's one name. Bubba is out.
Yeah.
I think if Bubba was not out, I'd be very, very worried, because he's probably the best player in the world, I think. There's a few names up there, but he's a lovely, lovely cricketer.
Bubba Azam, if he was given more of an opportunity to play more test matches, he's
lovely.
I mean, look, Steve Smith has scored 29 test centuries. Yeah. So a batting average over 60. We're all lauding over him here in Australia. But I actually just don't think there's something about he and Labuschagne, they're flat track bullies is the word that people say, and I agree with that. Labuschagne had a bit of a bad spell recently, and here he is on some Australian wickets which are easy made against some pretty bloody ordinary bowling. I think Bubba Azam's facing better bowlers and playing better. I actually think he's number one batter in the world at the moment.
I think
really.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly up there. I mean, Joe Root might have something to say about that, because
although Joe Root's been a little bit quiet the last few matches, though.
He got 50 today, didn't he?
No, but I mean, when you have 2 opening batters when you have the 3 batsmen above you getting centuries.
Did you see, Norman, today he faced the ball left-handed?
I saw that.
I mean, have you ever, in your long history of watching cricket, ever seen a guy in Test cricket up and whoever didn't see this, I know there's people watching who might not have seen this. He didn't switch it around. He actually took his guard left-handed to face the ball, and then swept it. Then he swept it for runs.
Although ironically, the shot he played, he got dropped, but it was still a great shot.
Yeah, I mean,
right. I mean, Joe Root is sheer weight of runs is the best batsman in the world at the moment. At this point, with these 10,000 plus runs.
Yeah, Bubba's up there, though, isn't he?
And look, it really annoys me, and we do it a lot in Australia. We say Steve Smith has scored 29 centuries, just like Bradman. He's in Bradman's class. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I'm sorry. It pisses me off. Stop comparing.
You can't compare. Unfortunately, you can't compare the.
shouldn't even begin to go there. It's just a complete joke.
Bradman played on uncovered pitches, and the uncovered pitches were before my time, but I've seen some footage of what those conditions to play cricket in were like, and it was almost impossible sometimes after it had rained. And they got out there basically on mud patches and tried to play. There's some brilliant footage of England, Australia, a famous final day where we bowled about, and the whole pitch was covered in sawdust because it was so wet. And was it Jim Lake Derek Underwood? I think it was Derek Underwood actually was coming in, who was like a quick spinner. I've never seen Derek Underwood bowl. Scary. He was, and you couldn't play it. Now Bradman scored all those runs on uncovered pitches, and you can't compare it. How would Bradman have done in today's era? Probably still would have been the greatest player.
He would have clobbered. I mean, if he was playing on the game, the crowds of Pakistan, he would have been 500 not out.
Yeah,
he would have been unstoppable. He would have been absolutely unstoppable.
I think
because he's a faultless batsman. He was the best in the world. I just get annoyed by that, and we carry on about Nathan Lyon's taken 440 odd wickets. He's now 8th in the world. Okay, Palin's back. I'm not denying he's done well, but I still don't think he's able to stand up and be the best ever or something. And we're overpraising our players.
He's not finished his career yet, Norman, has he? So he's got time, and he's. How old is Steve Smith? He's not that old, is he?
He's about 34 now.
Is he that old? Okay. So he's young. He's older than Joe Root then.
Oh yeah, and you got Warner at 36. Labuschagn's 28, but
yeah,
I don't know. I get really annoyed by the comparisons, and I just find that they're scoring runs against sides that don't really matter. West Indies, so what? They are so bad at the moment. It's not funny. Even though they commendably took us to 5 days. When was the last time England played the West Indies in a Test match?
It would have been recent. It would have been last year over there. Did we play them over there, or they've been over here? In COVID, they came over and we played them.
They did all right against England, didn't they? In their home turf, they did all right.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they won 1-0 or we drew. Question for you, Norman. Here, you're going to love this question. Will Pachowski replace Smith?
No.
Pachowski's got no hope.
When you have 25 concussions in your career, when you have a concussion just by hitting a football at training on your head, what are we doing here? There's something.
If Pachowski comes over and plays Test cricket here next summer, I'm telling you now, if Archer and Wood are in the side, he's not going to get anything under his neckline at all. And Stokes will bowl him as well. Stokes can produce a slippery old bouncer, can't he?
The real pity, because he is a quality player.
Yeah.
But again, I think we've overplayed the whole thing. I don't know. I just find that he's a classic example. Jason Sanger's another. There's about 2 or 3 others that we're going to lose before too long because we simply aren't blooding them. And bowlers.
But Norman, surely for Will Pachowski's health and well-being,
he won't be playing.
You can't. If he's had 25 concussions,
no,
it's just not. There's got to be something there. He's got a weakness, and he's going to get hit, and it's going to kill him, or it'll certainly affect his in the future. You can't.
What about his technique to start with? Something's wrong if you're getting hit all the time. Really. I maintain back to the days that I played, people didn't get hit in the head. We didn't even wear helmets early on in our careers. So why is it? I know you might argue bowlers are faster and shorter these days. I don't cop that because I faced some very fast bowlers when I was younger. I just learned how to get out of the way of the ball. I don't see people at the nets teaching players to duck and weave. I don't see that.
Yeah, it's hard. No, I'd never played at the levels that these guys are playing at, and I faced some what I considered was quickish bowling, but I never faced anything as quick as Chris faced. I watched Chris face some seriously lively old bowling. He faced deep Finn.
But does Chris coach players on how to duck or weave from short balls as a player?
I haven't seen him. I don't go to his coaching sessions, but one would hope that
he doesn't.
They've got the device now. Sorry, there's me doing this. The ball you put it in a throwing device, don't you? And you can literally throw a load of bouncers down. And and get players to leave it. You've got to get. That's the way you coach it, isn't it? You
I mean,
get
it
them
sounds
to
obvious,
and
but
lean and duck and weave.
but it doesn't happen.
But you've got to
I've
watch
watched,
the ball, Norman. That's the thing. You've got to
but
watch.
I
the ball.
watched many training sessions, and I rarely see batsmen practice ducking. Even the first class cricketers, and that's before a game. Take for example Pakistan today, who would have got wind once the openers were out there facing short balls. The next drops down should have been out the nets facing short balls to get there. I mean, really, it's a mistake. It really is a serious mistake. You learn to watch the ball until it reaches your battle face, and you learn to move away late. And that you don't do that because most people with helmets, they just turn their head knowing they're going to get hit, and they think they're safe. It's a huge mistake.
Well, you do what Brian Close did famously against Lillian Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Stand up straight and wear it.
But I mean, bizarrely, that's not necessarily wrong because what he was doing was he was watching the ball all the way to his body.
He was watching it all the way. What a guts. He was in his 40s, Brian Close, then. Did you know that? He was in his 40s. And he was stood up to the two best bowlers.
But he never got hit in the head. He got hit on the shoulder, on the upper chest.
All over. Apparently, he came in after one innings and he took off his shirt, and apparently he was black and blue all over. And they said, "Oh my God," because they never wore protective chest guards in those days.
That sounds bad, but ironically, if you're getting hit on your breast or your shoulder, it's going to leave bruising. It's not going to kill you.
No, and he's watching it. That's the thing, Norman. He stood up, watching the ball. You know,
I'm serious. I'll go back to Phil Hughes. I was actually there the day. The way he played that shot on 63, seeing the ball like a watermelon, the way he turned his head was absolutely a technical flaw.
Yeah.
To say that for a man who's passed away was an absolute technical flaw. It's inexcusable because he's turned his head completely around. I have never in my whole career playing cricket have I ever played a ball like that. I would play a ball. I'd actually watch it to the point where it could hit my head. I'd be better off doing that than I would be to hit my back of my head. I mean, I remember playing with this guy called Jeff Hunt, who was a mate of mine, and I remember he was watching the ball so well. He watched it up to the point of his nose, and his nose broke, which was terrible. But he was watching the ball. I hate to say, there's something about playing cricket, whether you got 7 helmets or 1 helmet or no helmet. Watch the bloody ball.
Yeah, Joe Root's got if you watch the way Joe Root plays, he watches it and he plays it really well. He doesn't often get in trouble with a short ball. It's just what it is, isn't it?
But I mean, that's what I'm saying to you. What's happened to fun? I'm sorry, it's a flaw in fundamental coaching. I don't care how fast the ball is. It's not relevant how fast. If you've got a technique on how to deal with it, it won't matter what speed they're coming at you. You're watching it, you get out of the way of it.
I saw Chris get coached, and he'll tell me if he's still watching if I got this wrong. When he was a youngster, the guy was on one knee about 6 yards from him and was literally throwing balls from low straight at his head, underarming them straight at his head, and getting him to move and duck and weave as they were coming at his head.
Great technique.
So he's taking the throw was almost saying, well, that's just where the ball. I'm going from where the ball's pitching, and I'm going to stay there, and I'm just going to throw it up at you to get it. So you used to have that ball, the line of the ball coming up off the pitch at you.
And I know people always don't want to fend the ball with their bat because it could get caught. You know what? It's still one of the best weapons to hit a short ball is your bat.
Yeah, but if your technique's good, Norman, you've gone back and across to it,
and if you bring your bat down with the ball, and you bring it down, the ball goes straight down.
Yeah, back and across. The problem is if you're plunging on your front foot and the ball's short, you can't play it. You've got to be back and across. Alex Stewart and Brian Lara, for the old
but
people.
No one has ever said to me, turn the head completely around and get hit in the back of the head. No one's ever told me that's a technique. No, never, under any circumstance.
Yeah.
And I bet you see players with helmets do that because they're not taught. It's that important to me.
The helmet protects. That's what it is. Norman, you're getting serious stick on the comments here. You need to have a look at some of these comments.
I know.
You're getting some stick, Norman, and rightly so, I think.
No one don't know about Australian cricket. He thinks Babar Azam is better than us. No, I'm afraid that's not a joke. Babar Azam is a better batsman than Steve Smith. I'm sorry. I believe that very strongly. I know Steve Smith's got a great record, and I'm not denying that. but I just don't think he's the same caliber as Class.
Yeah. He got pinned by Archer here last Ashes series. I know, and he missed the next test, didn't he? Archer had him, yeah. And of course, that brought Labuschagne into the side. But
No, this is wrong. I've never said Australia does not have good domestic cricket. We're not selecting them to play for Australia as well. I said correct. I said that we actually have got good domestic players. We're just not giving them a look in. Okay, but domestic cricket is not BBL. I'll tell you right now. If anyone talks about the former BBL, they can go shut up because they're talking through their ass. The reality is the Sheffield Shield has credibility, but we're not giving anyone a go. So that's completely wrong. Just that some of these people throw all these Australian names at me of young blokes that score one score. You don't play one score and get into a test side. That's another thing. Okay?
Absolutely.
That's rubbish. Jason Sanger as my example, or Curtis Patterson, Matthew Renshaw, they're blokes that are proven. Curtis Patterson scored a double or century in his last match playing for Australia. Matthew Renshaw scored a number of centuries. Jason Sanger has scored a century every time he's played a touring team. My best way of judging form is if you can score centuries against touring teams when they're ready to play against you, you must be pretty bloody good.
Mm. Yeah.
Anyway, so I think I know a lot more about my domestic cricket here in Australia is not being treated with enough respect at Sheffield Shield level. BBL, put it to one side. I'm sick of it. It's not proving we're not getting any quality players out of it. What quality players come out of the BBL other than giving Liam Livingstone a nice old hitting practice? And Liam Livingstone rules out, and Vince and Milan, they come out here and do really, really well. But they're not playing against anyone. They're playing against domestic bowlers. And no, I'm sorry, we've got something flawed there. Anyway.
To Debassis, Norman, he said 2019 Ashes, 4 tests, 780 runs. Is that Steve Smith? Is that his stats? He got 4 tests. Because he missed the test because he got hit by Archer, didn't he? And so he got 780, did he, in the 4 tests?
I don't think so.
I didn't think he got that many, but maybe he did. I mean, well played to him.
19 Ashes in England.
Yeah, that's in England.
I don't know whether that's right, to be honest.
If Debassis, I can't argue that because I don't know.
I'm going to say this one more time. Jason Sanger is saying his average is 20 in Shield cricket. I don't think you understand what I said before. When a man plays well against touring sides, against hundreds, you put him in the test side, he'll score hundreds for Australia. They're realising that they're saying his Shield form's got a low average. I mean, how many players? I'm sure Harry Brook, who's played very well, I'm sure domestically, he's showing his true talent playing for his country. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And to Debassis, I'm not arguing Debassis with you. I didn't know that. I agree. If you're telling me that Smith scored 780 in 4 tests, I will accept what you're telling me because you've got the figures to your hand. Well played to see Smith. I didn't know he scored that many in the 2019
Steve Smith is a great player. I'm not saying he's not a great player.
My memory says that Labuschagne came in and scored a heap of runs when he came in the side because he came on as concussion sub for Smith and got 100. Didn't he come in and score 100 as the concussion sub?
I'm pretty sure.
And Earth is best. I don't agree with you. I do not agree that Smith is better than Bubba. There was a stat I saw it this week. There's a statistician in our country. You can follow him on Twitter. Benedict. His name's Benedict something. Brilliant stat.
Not Benedict Cumberbatch.
No, not Cumberbatch. It's Benedict something. Begins with a B, I think. And he produced a stat of how the top test players at the moment. So he compared Root, Bubba, Smith, and Labuschagne, and a couple of others, I think, to how their batting is rated on easy pitches and hard pitches. Their average, right? And Kohli was in this. So I'm going to give you an example. This is a very broad sweep that every one of them, apart from Bubba, their average was something like 70 on what's classed as an easy pitch and about 30 to 40 on what's classed as a hard pitch. 30. So it was like 70 to 30, easy pitch, hard pitch. Bubba averages 50 on easy and 45 on hard. He was by far the highest guys averaging current test matches of the top players on hard pitches on this stat. Okay. I've watched
and good bowlers as well.
Yeah. I've watched him play. I think he is an outstandingly good cricketer. He's a lovely player to watch. And he does it in all three formats, by the way, Babar Azam. Exactly. He's the number one ranked in 50 overs, isn't he? And up there in T20. He is a really, really good cricketer. Anyone who understands batting will look at him and think he's silky smooth, really good, great mental attitude to the game as well, isn't he, Norman? You know.
I mean, look, but Imam Haq and Shafiq, I mean, more so at home, are brilliant batters as well. They've got bloody good batting side. England have done sensationally well in this match, honestly, because they scored 657 runs. I know it was a flat track, but boy, they batted well.
At 6 points something and over, Norman. I mean,
I'm blown away by the way that
I didn't expect it.
We said,
yeah. So I said we said in the last broadcast we did that we expected England to go for it. I said I disagree with David Green. If you remember, I said to him, I just think that England will carry on just going for it, and we could get bowled out for 120 going that way. And I wouldn't be surprised in this Test series if there's an innings where we get bowled out cheaply, still batting the same way. They're not going to change. They're not going to change it. They're going to just go for it. And the Bassis, if we end up losing doing that, that's what it's going to be. I'm telling you, they're just not going to alter that style.
What a wonderful state of cricket. Seriously.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point in time, England have got we've got Pakistan 2 for 82. If I'm not wrong.
I wish Sheikh was here, Norman, to argue with Earth is best, because he'd support the Pakistani view, wouldn't he? Here.
I think
our Earth is best. I assume he's an Aussie. Is he an Aussie, Norman? Do you know? He's often on here.
Most and Sheikh.
No. Our Earth is best on the comments. I'd love to hear.
I don't think he is. I'm not sure. Don't think he is.
Well, are you guys mad? Smith can win single-handedly matches in tests. Bubba can't do this.
Well, maybe he could be Indian. Our Earth is best. Tell us what country you're from.
I disagree with that comment. Absolutely disagree with that. I don't think Steve Smith can single-handedly win a test match, and Bubba can't. I just don't agree with that. I just think Bubba's a better cricketer, a better batsman.
Yep.
Just personal opinions, isn't it?
We're entitled. Pakistan are 2 for 80 with 1 day's play now, of course. They're going to get 263 on the last day. Very gettable amount, but we'll see. What an exciting match it's going to be. Why doesn't Adil Rashid play Test cricket?
He's decided not to play. He came out. He said he was going to concentrate on white ball cricket, same as Moeen Ali. They tried to talk both of them out of it. McCullum tried to get both of it. The problem is that neither Ali or Rashid have played a red ball game for, well, let's say 2 seasons, something like that. Rashid,
it wouldn't matter. They'd be able to bowl straight up. I'm sorry.
Rashid would be brilliant, wouldn't he? But he's had a shoulder, as you know, he's had a shoulder injury in the past, although he seems to be better. It hasn't been causing him problems, but I just wonder if he's a bit worried. He's not young anymore, Rashid. He hasn't got a lot of years left, I wouldn't have thought. He's got to be mid-30s. Moeen's definitely 34 to 35, possibly older than that. They would have both played. If they both made themselves available, I cannot believe that we wouldn't have picked both of them in this test.
I mean, because Jack Leach, he's steady. I don't get excited about him. And then this young gun that you're talking about, I can't wait to see him play. No matter what stage, that'd be great.
The whole world is comparing Tony with Steve Smith. You guys think Babar Azam is better than Smith? I do, yeah. I do. I think Babar Azam's better than Kohli, without a doubt, at the moment. Virat hasn't scored a test match 100 for 4 years. Is that right? Something like that.
Pretty close.
It's Virat shouldn't even be in the test side anymore. I don't know if he is. That's stopping India moving forward. You know, No, I don't think Steve Smith scoring 780 runs was a joke. I don't. You're not listening to what we're saying.
We're not saying that.
A brilliant effort. It was a good series, by the way. It was 2-2, wasn't it? It was 2-2. It was a cracking series. Steve Smith's a brilliant batsman. They are Root, Smith, and Bubba are, in my opinion, streets ahead at the top of the tree at the moment. I think that they are the three best. I think Williamson's just having a tough time at the moment, and Labuschagne is trying to get up there without a doubt. Smith's a brilliant player. Don't get me wrong. I just give you an opinion who I think's better. I think all round game. I think Bubba's a better player.
All right, we'll leave it at that tonight. So that was great. Thank you very much.
Sorry to upset everyone.
Hardly. I agree with you. I look at true batsmanship at the moment, and I mean, look.
Hold on, just interrupt. DeBassis, you're talking absolute bloody shit, mate. Virat Kohli is not better than Babar Azam. Virat Kohli has not scored a Test 100. I think it was it 2017, Norman? I may be wrong. Someone's going to prove me wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. He's not scored a Test 100 for 4 years or something. It's just not in the same. It's not up there, Virat.
I think he scored a century in 18 in Australia, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not up there at the moment, Virat. He's coming to the end of his career. He's had a brilliant career, and he's starting to fade a little bit. As we all, I mean, let's face it, it comes to everyone. So,
Miles Labuschagne's not better than Bubba. That's completely false.
All
right. I think they're going to be out. Look, they've got every right to say what they feel. That's great. I'm happy they've got their own thoughts. All right. Thanks again, Reg. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Sorry if I've upset.
No, you haven't. No, never. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And I agree with you. And even if I didn't, I'd still be accepted.
Debate's great, Norman, on cricket. We have an opinion, don't we? But watch out.
The Masters is right in saying Ferreira scored 27 tons. Okay, He scored 71 tons overall. He played exceptionally well in the T20 World Cup. Got even. Okay, there's no doubt. He's still a great player, but he needs to score century at Test level again. Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll chat soon.
You take care, Reg. I'll sketch on.
Take care,
probably
everyone.
not much tomorrow. I'll debrief what happened tomorrow.
Thanks for having me on. Take care, fella.
See ya. Thanks
Cheers.
again.
Bye-bye.
We're very lucky to have people like Reg on the show. It was great to have his comments. We're going to finish up tonight. We're going to talk about India obviously playing Bangladesh. India playing Bangladesh. Let's look at the score there. If I can get that up. India score against Bangladesh. India at 9 for 154 in the 41st over. I think it looks like India are going to win that. Yeah, Bangladesh up to 41 overs, so 9 for 155, chasing 186. Looks like they've carked it. They had a chance to beat India. Looks like they're not going to do it. India's going to win that. India certainly is winning 186 to 9 for 155 over there. At they're playing Minpur. So there you go. So Bangladesh need 32 runs or 48 balls. In terms of runs per ball, they can get it, but it's not going to happen. Looks like India's won that. So, all right, guys, stay tuned. We'll see each other very soon. Talk more soon. All the best. Please, I need 5 more people to make 34,000 subscribers. You hear that? DeBarsis is best. Go and get me 5 more subscribers. I'm 5 off 34,000. A big achievement for me. Let's see if we're going to do. So view, like, and share my post. Subscribe. Go to Eyes on Sports, which is actually Eyes on Cricket, but I'm expanding to Eyes on Sports very soon with World Cups of other sorts. Please subscribe if you're not doing that already, or please share with others who can now subscribe. Okay? Need 5 more for 34,000. A big motion for me. Take care, everybody.